right. All right, guys, I'm taking a chance here at the previous month's. Let me show you. Previous month's high. I saw this demand zone down here. I should have taken this demand zone on Topstep, but I still just didn't have the conditions that I wanted. So I said, as I'm looking at this, in the morning, this previous month's high, this is definitely some sort of, to me, it's some sort of inflection point. I'm taking a chance on it. Now it's coming back to this demand zone down here. There's the opening range. And of course, it retests, that area, of course, right? I just had to wait it out. I had my order sitting there, okay, for those 5 contracts. I think what we're going to have is an upward day today. It's just it retested that area that I originally wanted. I should have just waited for it. But I do think this is going to be quite significant. I think we're going to break out of the original opening range and also the Sunday's opening range here. This was a good point. Now, if we look at the 15-minute chart here, do you see how we were over? What's that? Am I on? Can you hear me? Check. Yep. You see how the 15-minute chart here became extended? I was waiting for it to recalculate. Okay, I wanted it to recalculate here. Now we're getting a deep pullback here. This is not what we want. This is not what we don't want, a deep pullback. We wanted a shallow pullback. It's retesting this area. Okay, that's all right. I understand. It's retesting that area there. We are below this drop base rally here. We've got to be able to survive that. Don't want to go more. $500. Oh my God. That would be a full boat loser if that were the case. And I took a chance on this. It was starting to leave right here. So that was my thought process. And of course, it's maybe anxiety got the better of me. I don't know. As of right now, it's really dropping. And the whole morning we were really just doing so well moving up. Let's take a look at the full. All I had to do was leave it right there, man. I would have been in on that really nice demand zone, but it was starting to take off. We have what we're looking for on the 1-hour chart. Not anymore, right? We're starting to break below the 50 simple moving average. That's not what we want, but we do have the momentum. 3-hour chart was above the 0 line when I took the trade. Oh boy. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. A complete reversal. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt me in the combine. That's going to hurt me in the combine. We got to survive this. We have to survive this here. It was pulling out. It recalculated. And I was looking for a shallow recalculation. And it turned on a dime. It turned on a dime. What a shame. What a shame. Well, sorry, guys. Well, that's the risk that you take when you go outside of the strategy there. This is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Could not foresee that. I could not foresee that. You really have to survive this. And if this candle, reverses to this point, right where we got in, we'll have an extremely bullish candle. And that would be what we would be looking for on this opening range here. That's what we would be looking for on the opening range. Could not foresee all of that. So we'll have to see, but just to let you know my thought process there. Extended trend on the 15-minute right here, right around 8:30, it recalculated and started moving back up. Wanted to get in on that previous month's high as we were breaking past it, and it seemed to want to retest this lower demand zone down here. We don't want it to go all the way back down to the previous day's close. That's not what we want. We want it to kind of stay within the boundaries, right, of yesterday's opening range. This will be a very wide opening range again. So you can see this demand zone work, this drop base rally here. It did return to that, hit it once. Let's hope that this demand zone holds. Okay, that's where I'm at right there. Let's hope that demand zone holds and we start to reverse, right? But that was my thought process there. That was my thought process, guys. Whoops. So we do have momentum. We do have momentum on our side for the 1 hour rally base rally, 1 hour rally base rally right here, and did my best to get in there at the best price. And you just never know, just never know. Now, if we get a there we go. Come on, fight for it, man. If we get stopped out, technically it's less than 1% of our account, and that's acceptable because we have $888 that we're working with. We can't lose more than 2,000, right? Until we hit that target. And oh boy, guys, I'm sorry. You try to get in early on some of these trades when you start to see things working out in your favor. There was no way of predicting this type of rapid price action. We've got a lot of time left. This would be a pretty disappointing day. Very, very disappointing. Seems like it wants to survive. It wants to survive that that area, but boy, oh boy. Hopefully we can survive this. I've seen it happen before. Just got to weather the storm. We got to weather the storm. Really want to see a reversal here off of that previous month's high and stay above it for the move back to the upside. We've recalculated on the 15-minute chart, and we are technically ready to make a fresh new trend to the upside. It's just a matter of, when is that going to take place? We try to eliminate all of the where and the when by using the opening range. And come on, baby. We've got another 3 minutes left in this 15-minute opening range here. This would be spectacular. To survive this, it would be a real victory for the competition. But this is the risk you take jumping in early. This is the risk you take jumping in early. Let's go to the Topstep account here. Okay, the risk you take jumping in early like that, and we really want to see that rapid movement back to the upside. Rapid movement back to the upside there. And we need a little bit of luck now. Need a little bit of 80 luck. A little more than 2 minutes left on this opening range. We really want to see a bullish candle form here within 2 minutes. If we have a bullish candle, we will be just underneath, like the opening range would be here, right here and here. So we're in a good spot. The stop loss would be correct on the opening range. And we would have gotten in just a little bit earlier here. If this starts to reverse, we'll be above the previous month's high. Hope to just slowly make that upward move, back to the upside. But 22,934 even is the previous month's opening range. You'll see that on your chart if you have your opening range breakout tool on there. I thought it was leaving the station right here. When I was watching this happen, these two candles, it happened so quickly and it was moving up beautifully pre-market. We had all conditions met when this candle finished, we had all conditions met. And I was just like, oh my God, please come back and hit that previous month's high. And it did, and it went rapidly below it. Pretty nerve-wracking, pretty disappointing. You can't get too disappointed. You have to trust your analysis. You got to trust what you did. Okay, like this is what I see. If I'm thinking a couple of steps ahead, CCI on the 3 hour will be above the zero line. We'll have good readings on the 1 hour chart. And if you can see a couple of steps ahead, and you use your instincts, you look for levels of support, which is what I did, previous month's high. And in this case, it really wanted this 15-minute drop base rally here. Nice. Okay, we like that there. So the opening range has now formed. Okay, the opening range has now formed. And if we get over to the 5-minute chart, come on, opening range. A lot of lag here. There we go. Okay. All right, so bearish candle formation. Nice movement to the upside. We have to break through this bearish candle here. We got to break through that and close above it. Got to close above. Here's previous month's high right here, guys. The red line. You'll see that on your 5-minute chart if you put your tool on there. This is the original spot that I got in the simulator. When I was watching this formation take place right here, it started to recalculate on the 15-minute chart, and then those 5-minute candles started to break above, boom, 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 all the way up here. And I said, oh my God, I was like, I can put an entry right here at the top of this consolidation here to get in right here, or I could wait for the opening range to form, or I can take the previous month's high, and that's what I ended up doing. And you can see it's inside of the opening range, so we're actually good. So it's actually looking like this right now. That's what it looks like right now below that, and I really hope we can survive this. All right, I don't like that there's a bearish candle that formed the opening range. We don't want that, especially not in this situation. We're hoping that this demand zone holds right now. This is the demand zone that we're hoping holds. Maybe it goes sideways for a little while. We don't want a retest of this demand zone, but our entry is all the way up here. So, unfortunately, we're not at the very bottom of this opening range. Perhaps if I waited for the opening range to form, I would have seen this demand zone and gotten in on this demand zone with 5 contracts, and then we could have taken a target, up here. So it is what it is. This is a situation that I am in right now. We can get rid of this, and we can get rid of this green line. Good morning. Good morning, Kazi. Good morning, Eddie. All right. Who we have in here? We got a bunch of people in here. Seth, Sarah, Kazi, Eddie. All right. Excellent. So that is the story there. What would I do right now? What would I do right now? I would definitely be looking for this 5-minute candle. Okay, we've got 50 seconds left. Really want to see a break above, close above that candle there. By all means, this is another good spot, 22.50 right there. You can see that's the original spot that I got into. As this was breaking, we want to break above all of that. We got quite a climb. Let's take a look at our conditions. Well, guys, I can't advise, right? I cannot advise because we're below the 50. See, our conditions are not met right now. We don't have the price above the 50. We've got CCI, but we don't have the 50 simple, right? And we are below the 0 line on the 3-hour chart. I can't advise anybody on taking this. If we see a break above here on this 5-minute candle, if we see this candle close above this, I think you can start to jump the gun a bit. So hopefully maybe some good news. Just NASDAQ in general, we want to be buyers of the NASDAQ. Did we catch this in time? There's stuff that we may not be able to predict. So, oh boy. Retesting that demand zone there. Very dangerous trade. Very dangerous trade here right now. Seems to retest and bounce out of there. We've got to see some follow through. We are right below that 1-hour rally-based rally, but this is important stuff. We don't want to jump the gun in terrible conditions, with our combine. Now that's a very nice looking candle. That's a very nice bullish candle out of that demand zone. Very nice bullish candle so far, right? We need follow through on that. See this candle, this 1-hour candle here, a complete reversal of this 1-hour candle would be quite substantial and would put us right back in the area of good graces with our strategy. This is all quite stressful. And you don't need to be putting yourself through all of that stress when you can just wait for the dang strategy that we developed together in here. Just wait for the dang strategy to show you the conditions, and then you take the trade. And that's not very stressful at all, But when you're outside the strategy and you take a shot, very stressful. Okay, 1 minute left. 1 minute left on that candle. We really want to see some sort of bullish candle formation. It broke above, right? It broke above right here. Right? Broke above right there on the 5-minute chart. We broke above that candle. We really 50 seconds left. Very nice. That's looking good. That'll give us some structure to as a shield. That'll give us some structure to hide behind. 30 seconds left. Looking good. That looks good. We've got to break through that 5-minute trend cloud. We got to hope that the 1 hour momentum on that CCI follows through. And we are cycling up on the 1 hour chart as well. So we're just at the very beginning of that impulse phase to the upside. Pretty bullish looking candle there. Pretty bullish looking candle. Don't really want to see it go past the body of that candle. Maybe it forms an inside bar. We get a nice push up right at the beginning of this candle. We get a really nice move. We really want to watch for this 1 hour candle. And we've got 5 minutes left, then it'll be 10 o'clock. We really want to see this candle here reverse. It's going to reverse right around 20. It should reverse there. I want to look back in hindsight, want to look back on this trade and say, hey, look at that. Look how well that 5-minute demand zone held for us, and just really study that. So we're inside the opening range, right? 5-minute candle has not chosen a direction yet. We wanted to choose the upward direction. We need some follow through here. Can you please go over the strategy one more time? The strategy, Kazi, or my thought process on why I took this? The strategy, 3 hour, 1 hour, 15-minute, right, charts, and the 3 hour, right? 3 hour, we want to see momentum, right? We want to see CCI has to be above the zero line. CCI has to be above the zero line. That's really all we look for. Okay. 1 hour chart, we have to be above the 50 simple moving average, and CCI has to be above the zero line. Those are the three components. Then if those three components are met, we take the breakout of the opening range on the 15-minute chart. Okay, that is the strategy. That works very well for us. What I did was, in the morning, I saw that the 15-minute trend was pretty extended. And, okay, good. Yep, I saw a 15-minute trend was extended. It recalculated right down here, recalculated right here, and started moving up. And I said, wow, look at that. It recalculated, and now it's going to continue its move to the upside. And 9:30 open, and it made a very rapid move down here, right? And so, that is what was very disappointing and pretty nerve-wracking there. So we've got a pretty strong downward candle here, guys. We've got to survive this demand zone has to hold for us. Very wide opening range. Hopefully we can survive this. 15-minute candle is starting to flash that downward, price action signal there, which means that the 15-minute, oh boy, we just got stopped out, guys. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I jumped the gun there and just really got excited when I saw this. Tried to get a few steps ahead, and it just did not work out. It just did not work out. Stayed out too many mixed signals. Yes. Yeah. Yep. That was the correct decision, Seth. That was the correct decision there. Too many mixed signals, and those components are in there for a reason, and we saw it, right? We saw the reason. So the moral of this story here is mixed signals on gold as well, and the demand zone gave 2 to 1. This demand zone did end up giving 2 to 1. That's awesome. Very wide opening range, mixed signals. Yeah, not a good thing to get into. So pre-market kind of sucked me in. It kind of sucked me in pre-market, and I was like, wow, this really looks like it's gonna head to the upside there. So we just wiped out $500 on the combine, which means we're only up by 300. So we're still in the green. We are still in the green on the combine. Still in the green on the combine. Let's go over. It hasn't registered yet. Yeah, but still in the green, right? We're only up by 300 now instead of 800. Pretty disappointing. But what did we learn? Well, yes, we were correct about this, right? We were correct about being cautious on this 15-minute extended trend. It pulled back, recalculated, and started the move up. And at this moment in time, you can see I am way above the 50 simple moving average on the 1 hour chart. we were above the zero line, and we were just starting, right? The only component missing was the 3-hour CCI. I think at one point it did break above the zero line and then came back, but it was kind of floating there. I took a shot, right? Took a shot at it. And it looked so good that I did the full 5 contracts. Whereas in the simulator on TradeStation here, or TradingView, I just did the 1 contract. I just did the 1 contract on there because I didn't have all conditions met. So I still feel that this previous month's high at some point is going to be a significant turning point to look for. Definitely going to look for, some sort of support right at that area. So that's still going to be an area of interest. But my goodness, ripped through that zone there, wanted to come back down into this area. At this point, I have no idea what demand zone is going to work or what's going to happen here. I don't know. But as of right now, none of our conditions are met, right? Little bit of a fake out there. I'm sure we'll make that back. I'm sure we'll make that back in a spectacular setup when we see, CCI breaking above 100, CCI 1-hour chart breaking above 200 or breaking above 100 and kind of hanging out up there at the time of the opening range formation. We see that bullish candle form on the opening range and we say, aha, this is it. So sometimes it pays to jump the gun a bit, and sometimes it pays to just follow the strategy, right? So that was a pretty devastating blow. Definitely want to wait for strategy to, have all components met, and only jump the gun. Only jump the gun when you've got all those conditions, right? So again, 3-hour chart must be above the zero line. Right. Bonus component, right, is if you're in an uptrend. Bonus component if you're cycling up. The bare bones minimum 3-hour chart has to be above the zero line, right? 1-hour chart must be above the 50 simple moving average and must be above the zero line. Bonus component if it's cycling up. 15-minute chart, we take the breakout. Take the breakout. If you want to jump the gun, look for demand zones inside of the opening range, especially on the 5-minute chart, right? That's a bonus component. And we want to see a nice bullish candle as a bonus component for the opening range. So you can see we actually have conditions met for a short now, but I don't want to be taking shorts. Don't want to be taking shorts. Learning that no matter how good something looks, if it's not following the strategy, stay out. When I change things, that's when I lose. Yep. Most definitely. Kazi says same thing happens to him as well. Yeah, Seth, definitely. And that is, I'm glad we're recording this because this is an example. Even though it was, I lost on the gamble, this was a great example of, hey, stick to the strategy. Stick to the strategy. Those components are there for a reason. And it really, right at this moment in time, everything was starting to be met, right? I shouldn't have got up so early. I was up pretty early, around 7 a.m. I started looking at this and I was like, wow, look at that. We're just starting the new trend. And here's that previous month's high, broke above that, and I took the pullback to the previous month's high, and it just, at that time, opening range, 930 started happening, and then boom, just massive move, could not be predicted, right? Just massive move to the downside. Yep, all conditions met to the downside now. So I'm going to watch. It's moving very fast. This is moving really fast, starting right here, right? So now we're below the zero line on the 3-hour, we're below the 50 simple on the 1-hour, we're below the zero line on the 1-hour, cycling down, 2 bonuses, bearish candle on the formation, and opening range, boom, right here. 5-minute candle closes below, that's another bonus. And now we're making a move to the downside. So yeah, all conditions met for a downward move here. ADR checkpoint, open it up, go out to the 15, Now that we can follow this thing down, let's see what we've got here. Wow. ADR, hello, hello, DR. Nowhere to be found on the chart. Holy schmoly. Look how far down the average daily range is. Whoa. If we get a massive move all the way down, I'll be very surprised if we get a massive move all the way down to there. But it will be interesting to see what is going on. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Q. Let's take a look at the YM. Whoa, look at that. Wow. So the YM actually broke way the hell out of its opening range and then completely smashed. Look how strong the YM is right here on the pre-market. Look at 3-hour pre-market on the YM. Ah, there we go. Extended trend on the YM, 3-hour chart. Recalculating now. So this makes sense. RTY, same thing. Wow. The Russell is also extended on the 3-hour and needs to recalculate somewhere down here. So the Russell is actually, but look at the Russell. Look at how we have crazy mixed signals on the Russell here. We don't have the conditions met on that 1-hour chart. That's very interesting. That's crazy. I was going to say maybe we can get in on the breakout of the Russell right here to previous day's close to right down here, but pretty major screw up today. Let's see, what is gold looking like here? Gold breaking out to the downside as well on all 3 charts. Massive move on gold, right? Very strong momentum and trend, right, on gold. Very strong downward movement on gold. Everything is dropping. Okay, Kazi, sounds good, buddy. I will see you tomorrow. Right, that's pretty much it. Go back to the NASDAQ. My goodness. Recalculate the charts. Pretty neutral candle. That 15-minute candle is pretty neutral. I'm looking at a 3-hour. Let's get rid of this. That doesn't make any sense. Get over to the actual contract that we'll look at. Oh, so embarrassing. Oh my God, so embarrassing. Everybody at Topstep is going to look at my data and they're going to say, what is this guy? What did this guy do today? He was doing so well. What the heck did he do? That's okay. We'll get them next time. Follow the strategy. Try to make the best decisions that you can. If it's outside of the strategy, you got to trade those micros and maybe just 2 contracts on the micro instead of 5. So maybe I'm not upset about the decision I made because it made sense. It made logical sense at that moment in time. But my leverage was probably off. I could have really reduced that to more like a $250 loss rather than a $500 loss if I just traded 2 contracts. But I was so sure it was going to work. 3 days in a row of winners. I was so sure it was going to work. So those are the things that go on in your head. So I'm glad that this is all being documented. This is a great lesson. So for me, I learned today the lesson was about leverage, right? Like, hey, conditions aren't really met and we are taking a gamble here, right? We're hoping that things continue in this direction. They're just not met pre-market. We don't have a spectacular looking setup pre-market, but I can see the potential of this trade working because of the price action at this moment in time. And so, yes, I understand jumping the gun a bit because you see the potential at that moment in time. Things are working out at that moment in time. So, yeah, I would say the only mistake I made today was 5 contracts instead of 2 contracts on the micro. Right? It's pretty clear that you wouldn't want to trade the full contract of the NASDAQ, right? On a trade that has mixed signals, right? Or where your conditions aren't met. So that's definitely that's pretty crystal clear in my brain. It's pretty crystal clear. Definitely not going to trade the full contract. You only trade the full contract when you see a spectacular setup pre-market. That's when you take the chance. So not a disaster today, really. Not a disaster. We're still in the green. I mean, I took a full boat loser today. Okay. Didn't work out. It was a $500 loss, but because I had 3 winning trades in a row, they were small winners, right? One big winner, 2 small winners. I'm still in the green. I am still in the green. I haven't lost a dime of the firm's money, right? So I have to pat myself on the back for that. So yeah, again, probably should have traded just 2 contracts, but you know, I'm not I'm not upset about the decision I made because I saw the potential, I saw the price action. It was going in that direction. Even on the 5 minute chart, we were really, I mean, right here at this point. I mean, look at the comeback here. I mean, this was like, we were like, oh man, it looks like we're actually going to make it out of this thing. Pulls into trend cloud, impulse down, right? So this was just a pullback into the trend cloud, impulse down, and looking at this, if we waited, right? If we waited, let's break out the vertical axis line here. Give me a vertical axis, please. Where are you? Get out of there. Right here. If we take a look at this, right about there, cycling down below the 50. Right, just starting to break below the 0 line. Bearish candle on the opening range, pull back into trend cloud. If we were going to go short on this, this would be a great area, right? Pulls back into trend cloud, make the move down, but not what we did, right? Pre-market, looking at this right here, holy cow. It was just taking off right at this point. And we had only one condition wasn't met, and that was the 3-hour CCI. And then boom, very quickly, all that happened super fast. That happened all super, super fast. So not sure what's going to happen here now, but all we know is that we've got conditions to the downside, 5-minute breakout to the downside. How long is this going to last? These candles look pretty neutral here. They're going to line up here and just kind of go sideways for the rest of the day. I don't know. All I know is next trade, no matter what, I've got to wait for all conditions to be met. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your show for today. So I think that's it for me. I'll sign off because this is pretty much just going to go to the downside here. And it's not something I want to be involved in. But that is it, my friends. That is it. That is the lesson from me. You bet, Seth. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we have better conditions and we can record a nice victory trade here. All right, everybody. Have a good one.